We have gone off the rails. What?
What are we even doing?
Why were you thinking of that? Why were you even talking about that?
Because I wanted to be all like, well, here we are, ready for another episode of Cluedunnit. I've like dusted off the magnifying glass and fired up the polymerase chain reaction machine so we could like talk about different ways of like figuring out solving crimes and everything. And somehow that turned into a polyamorous buttock. Okay.
Okay.
Hello, gentle listener, and welcome to another episode of Cluedunnit. And I gotta tell you, you're gonna have to go over to our new Patreon if you want to know why we're talking about polyamorous buttocks.
Yes. Yes. So, hey everybody, we got a new Patreon. We got a Patreon, period. We had a thing before, but now we've got Patreon.
Patreon.com/Cluedunnit Podcast.
Yes, yay. And we have 2 membership tiers. One is a detective. One is an inspector level. They're for $5 a month or $10 a month members. You get exclusive footage, like
the polyamorous
bonus
buttocks.
content. You get a special certificate to be a detective. That's actually what we should, instead of gentle listener, I mean, that's nice.
Sure.
But we should call people the detectives.
Gentle listeners, you are now all sharp detectives.
Sharp detectives?
Well, okay, maybe not sharp detectives. Should they just be detectives?
We have detective level and inspector level, and you get a certificate. You can tell us what shows you would like us to cover in the podcast next season or coming up.
If you've ever found yourself yelling at us, telling us what we should do, that's how you can do it.
You're like, I didn't watch this show. Well, tell us which show, vote for what show you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll be fun.
It'll be great. And you can come on over and tell us like what you guessed and everything else.
Yes. Yeah. You can talk there. It's fun. It's a community.
It's a community. That's exactly it. We're having a nice it's a little after party. It's a nice little Cluedunnit after party. So listen to the show and then come on over there and tell us how you did. Tell us some shows you're watching now, what you're guessing on, all those things. But definitely come over to get that official guessing license. Remember, it's not an official guess unless you have an official Cluedunnit detective license. Then you are officially allowed to guess.
Yes.
And I am sure that the Nielsen company will be asking about that when you write in and complain that your guesses are wrong. They're like, well, do you have the official license from Cluedunnit?
Oh, did you register us?
Oh, yeah,
them?
100%.
Okay.
So, I mean, yeah, our paperwork is tight. So I'm just making sure that our listeners' paperwork is tight.
Yeah,
too.
I hate paperwork, so I know you're doing it.
That's what I'm talking about. But what we're also talking about today is we're going to do MATLOCK this week.
Yay!
The new MATLOCK.
Not the 2024
which is
MATLOCK. Important because, Jacob, why is that important?
I mean, other than the fact that it's a completely different show, I don't know.
Well,
what are you
I was asking you before we started, have you ever watched, did you ever watch the original? And you said...
No, I have never seen an episode of the original MATLOCK.
I am, if you could see my face, I am gobsmacked. I'm like on the floor. How could you never have seen... I mean, that theme song is so infectious. It just gets you right into the show.
See,
I feel
this
like
is my problem.
Perry Mason.
That's the thing. Like you talk about the Matlock theme song, and as far as I'm concerned, like I immediately go to the Perry Mason theme song. I don't know what this theme song is.
Oh, it's the same one on this one. I think they're using. Oh, I can't remember now.
Okay,
but it's so good. I'll make you listen to it.
Okay, this is true.
Yeah. So I can't believe you didn't watch it. It was so great. But this is not actually a full-on...
It's not a reboot at all. It's not a reboot. It's not even a
Mm-hmm.
reimagining. In fact, the TV show Matlock exists as a TV show in the universe of this show.
Yeah.
Like the main characters, we're going to do lots of spoilers here, people. And they've made a lot of really great choices around this show that really I won't say recontextualize it, but that like show that they're playing with it and working with it as they know it's a TV show and you know it's a TV show, but also change the dynamic. Like, it's not even that they're like, oh, this is a TV show and we're still going to copy it, wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yeah.
They're like, she's using it as a cover for her own investigation. So there's a whole, like, another metagame season-long arc thing that they can put in here that actually puts her in peril. Like, this is a thing about Perry Mason and Matlock and all these other things, is that, like, Perry Mason is never actually in danger. Perry Mason is helping somebody.
Unless you're watching the HBO show, and then he is very much in danger. But yes,
fair
the TV
enough.
show,
but
not
like,
so much.
But it's just a procedural. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like these are the texts are going to come in. They're going to solve the case of the week. But in this one, in this one, who is our main character in this one? Kathy Bates is our main character. She is playing. She's playing, what is the...
Madeline Matlock is her cover name.
That's her cover name, but her actual name is
Kingston.
Madeline Kingston.
Yeah.
So she takes on the mantle of Matlock to infiltrate this law firm that was protecting some drug makers because she lost her daughter to the opioid crisis. And she knows that someone at this law firm is hiding something about how that went down. And she's trying to bring them to justice for her daughter and for all the other years where they denied the fact that there was a crisis. So every week you're also just like watching her solve the case, but you're also watching her maybe like get found out about all this as well and try to reach her own goals with all this. It's a great reconfiguration of it all, which I love it. It's super smart.
Yeah. I don't think we're going to have a lot of homage in this show to the other show at all. I think what you're going to say is unless it is it is used as her, like you said, mantle or her disguise.
So that's what we're doing. That's what we're watching. Kathy Bates, legendary Kathy Bates, plays Maddie Kingston or Maddie Matlock. Yeah. Tell us about her.
Oh, well.
In case you don't know.
I mean, her notable credits on IMDb, but she has bajillion, of course, is Misery, which is she got an Oscar for. That really put her on the map, that movie. Titanic, also Dolores Claiborne.
Didn't she get naked in Titanic? Didn't Leonardo DiCaprio? That wasn't her?
They do list, actually. I did not write it down. Of course, you would bring that up with joke. The one thing I didn't write down, her nude scene, they do put, that is in her bio, is like her one nude scene. I think it's actually in About Schmidt, if I'm remembering correctly.
Sense. But... We're going to look that up at the break because that's too good a nugget not to know.
Fun fact about her is her actual breakout, like first big screen debut was that she and the other actresses in the play Come Back to the Five and Dime Jimmy Dean got to play their Broadway roles in the film version directed by Robert Altman. But she was 34.
Robert Altman directed that.
Yeah.
That makes all the sense in the world.
Does it?
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. Okay. Well, she went back to New York after that, and she did the acclaimed show Night Mother, playing the suicidal daughter.
Yeah, suicidal daughter indeed.
Yeah, and then she played the misfit lover in Frankie and Johnny and the Claire de Lune. But she had no box office
on Broadway.
Pull.
She did not do
that on Broadway. That's
movie.
My point is, however, she didn't have any Broadway or box office pull, so other actresses were cast in those film roles. Things that she had received awards for and acclaim for, which was a thing that Hollywood was doing. So Sissy Spacek played her role in Night Mother, and Michelle Pfeiffer played her role in Frankie and Johnny. And she finally gained the box office renown and, everybody's notice for Misery, which also is interesting because that was a horror flick.
Yes.
And that is like the first time an actress had received an Academy Award for that. That was, I think, the first Academy Award, actually, for a horror flick.
Interesting.
We all know probably that she's done tons of TV. She has 14 Emmy wins or nominations. She is currently 76 years old, and she is not slowing down.
No.
Every news article is like, she is in this to win it. Just take a bite out of all the rest of life, She's survived ovarian cancer and breast cancer. She had a double mastectomy. She advocates for research funding for lymphedema and lymphatic diseases because she got that, which is typical after a mastectomy. She's doing it all. She's fantastic in this role. It's really great. Then we have Sky P. Marshall, who plays Olympia Lawrence, who's the lawyer boss of Maddie Matlock. And
not the one who runs the firm, but her literal boss supervisor.
Right, supervisor. She has a ton of credits. She is an Air Force veteran. Ooh. And she went to New York from Illinois and to study acting. She went to the Stella Adler Academy. And while she was there, her day job was working in pharmaceutical marketing. So I was like, woohoo! Until she couldn't stand working in a cubicle anymore and her career took off. Great for her.
Yeah, her career took off. Yeah. Somehow I think that she probably still would have made rent, even if you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. She is notable for mystery watchers for being on The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. She was also on 911, Mentalist, Shameless, The Rookie, This Is Us. So lots of stuff in her background. Then playing her maybe soon-to-be ex-husband, also the lawyer, a junior partner maybe, is Jason Ritter, who plays Julian Jr., and Jason Ritter, as his last name suggests, is the son of R.I.P. John Ritter. He has lots of credits. I want to call out his role on Comedy Central's Another Period, which is that those characters are all hilarious and awful, and he was one of them. Fun fact, he was on the reboot of Gilmore Girls, the 1 year,
Year in the Life,
The Year in the Life. Yeah. But he has also played the love interest of both of the Gilmore Girls in other shows. So he was
he's just that nice right in between age.
Yeah,
not
weird,
too
right?
old, not too old for Rory, not too young for Lorelai.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. So he was the love interest of Lauren Graham in Parenthood and the love interest of Alexis Bledel in Us and Them.
Okay.
Funny. Then we have two junior lawyers who work with Maddie, and one
work for Olympia, and now Maddie is working. They are Maddie's like same level as she is. Yes,
her coworkers, junior lawyers.
Coworkers. That's a good word. Oh my God.
Yeah. So one is Billy Martinez, played by David Del Rio. He's a Latinx actor, director, producer, writer. He's very prolific. Fun thing about him. He, just out of conservatory, he landed on a Nickelodeon show called The Troop, and in between seasons, he made his Broadway debut in Lin-Manuel Miranda's In the Heights.
Little thing called In the Heights.
Just a little thing
Maybe
called In the Heights. And then Leah Lewis plays Sarah Yang, the other associate, and she is noted for this very cool Netflix feature called Half of It, which is kind of like a Cyrano de Bergerac story.
Okay.
Except that it's not really about physical appearance. And the story takes place in Squamish, Washington.
Wow.
We should check this out because, Squamish is where
Squamish is not...
we might learn something.
Oh, right. Well, that's Squamish, British Columbia.
I know.
I didn't realize there was a Squamish, Washington.
I didn't either until I read this.
Yeah, now... Are you sure it's not Snohomish?
Oh.
There's Snohomish
You're
and
right.
Snoqualmie.
Oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed. It was Snohomish. Yes, that is correct. Anyway, that was a great film, but she was also the lead voice in the Pixar animated feature Elemental. She played Ember.
I was going to say the fire person.
And she has pictures on her Instagram of when she was on the red carpet at Cannes. She was wearing this beautiful, enormous black ball gown. It was gorgeous. And then some other very cool outfits on other appearances at the Cannes Film Festival. What an experience as an actress.
It's okay, Jessica. It'll be okay. We'll get you a nice ball gown for some podcasting awards show festival. It'll be great.
That would be fantastic. And then she also, the mystery world will know her for playing Georgie Fan on the Nancy Drew series on CW.
Okay.
It's interesting fun fact about her.
Please. I'm all about the fun facts, Jessica. If you ever think about Jacob, you always think Jacob likes these fun facts. So
she was adopted by an American family from an orphanage in Shanghai, China.
Oh, okay.
And she came to the U.S. at 8 months old. Another character in the show is Sam Anderson, who plays Edwin Kingston. Edwin is the husband of Maddie Kingston.
Right.
He has been an actor since the 70s. He's actually a member of the Mystery Writers of America. And so I was like,
oh my gosh,
has he
that's
written
fantastic.
anything? I can't find that he's written anything yet, but he is a member.
Oh my gosh,
so
okay.
he loves mysteries. He is known for some great stuff. So I just want to say it real quick. He was on Lost. He played Bernard, the mega hit show.
Bernard, the mega hit show that we all know and love.
No, the mega hit show Lost.
Oh, Lost. Yes.
And he was also he played the principal in Forrest Gump. He was the lethal attorney in Angel. He was Donna's racist father in La Bamba. He was Dr. Fonzie in Friends. He was the befuddled FBI agent in Everybody Loves Raymond. He's also been on both Dallas shows, and he was in 4 episodes of Murder, She Wrote. He was a regular recurring character on ER, starting with the first season all the way until the 14th season.
Okay.
He was on every other year, or every year they'd have him on a couple of episodes in an arc or something. That is work.
Yeah.
14 years basically of that character. So go him. And then we have Beau Bridges plays the senior Julian.
Right. Julian, and this is the guy who owns the law firm. I mean, partners, lots of partners own it, but he found it. He's the founding of the
partner.
law firm.
Yeah. And Beau Bridges, if you know, he's most famous for The Fabulous Baker Boys, and he was also in The Descendants. He has 370 credits. He's been in a bunch of stuff, including the Hallmark.
This is where Jessica's brain explodes, gentle listeners. Is that 370 things? She's like, how am I? Is it I'm looking at her right now, and she wants to read you all 371 of his credits.
I know it down.
You have, and well done, but it's killing you. So give us what you got.
So, including the Hallmark Flower Shop Mysteries,
okay.
starring Brooke Shields. Listen to the names of these shows, Jacob.
Fake, please.
Flower Shop Mysteries 1, Dearly Depotted. Flower Shop Mysteries 2, Snipped in the Bud. Flower Shop Mysteries 3, Mum's the Word.
Yes, it is.
And many other things. So we did kind of talk about off mic, but I just want to bring it back in here.
Sure.
How his costuming and the set of his office is so an orange in the middle of all these apples.
Yes,
on this set.
We should absolutely talk about this because, you'd think this law firm, especially Olympia, what's her boyfriend's name? Billy, I think is her. No.
Well, Elijah is the guy that we think that she wants to end up with.
And
not be with Jason Ritter's character anymore.
And the other junior ones, they're all acting as if they're in an episode of Suits.
Yes. It looks like the Pearson law firm.
Yeah.
They just took that set over.
Right. So they're very East Coast, very New York, very kind of white, starched white shirts, suits, good to go out there, power brokers kind of thing.
Yeah.
Whereas Beau Bridges' character is just a good old boy.
Yeah.
From somewhere in Texas or Oklahoma or somewhere in the South. He's just a good old boy. He's coming to, everybody else is showing up in suits and amazing watches and huge rings. And he's showing up in khakis and Carhartt khakis and a flannel shirt. They're trying to build a tent that has someone that everybody can identify with in this.
Yeah.
Because clearly he's a very successful, powerful lawyer in the middle of this city.
Yeah.
But he also has these people like Olympia, who is no slouch, working for him. And so they're both powerful in completely different ways and in completely different aspects.
Yeah.
So that's what's going on there.
And then everybody has to sit back also and be like, I think they could be. I'm not feeling great about that.
Yeah.
They could be actually the
they could be horrible
person that did something.
Right. Because like Maddie said, Maddie's got her own murder board at home.
Yeah.
Well done. Okay. So a couple things. Let's talk about a couple things.
But I want to say about Beau Bridges. So you can be cynical about it or you can be rooting for it. But here's what
so far he comes across as very genuine and honest character.
Hold on. This is what I read about on his IMDb. So Beau likes to play guitar and collect Native American percussion instruments. He also loves the ocean, including swimming and surfing. He's also active in environmental causes and handgun control. So does that explain his office?
It might.
Did he actually just bring a bunch of stuff from home?
Yeah,
Beau can this be my office? If I'm going to be sitting here on stage all this time, I'd like to be surrounded by my stuff. Yeah, sure.
Bring that to the character. 100%. Yes. I don't know. It's great.
And I want to say, we've been talking about how cool all these twists and turns and the way this show is set up in the framing and how people are acting against or with or for,
Lots of different layers as
all
to
the
what
different
they're
layers.
working on.
Yeah. That is all the work of Jenny Snyder Ehrman, who is the developer, showrunner of this show. She has 14 TV projects right now in development.
Good for her.
So loads of stuff possibly coming down the pike from her as a producer. She has credit. Her first TV credits were on Hope and Faith in 2003, followed by Gilmore Girls, 90210, the reboot, Rain. And then her first show to get picked up as a creator showrunner was called Emily Owens, MD. And then she really hit it big with the development of Jane the Virgin, because that was already a novella. And so she's only credited. She's adapted
for the American audience.
Yeah. And then she also did the reboot of Charmed. She developed that and many, many other shows.
She's epic.
She is really epic. This episode is directed by Kat Kari. Oh, this color is terrible. It's yellow.
Oh, you're going to blame the color for how you can't pronounce the name now?
It's small. I can't see. But yeah, she was the pilot director, and now she's directing this episode. She's directed a bunch of them.
I just want to break in for a second here and just make sure that our statisticians catch the fact that was, like, I think Jessica's first mispronunciation of the name for this episode. So just want to make sure that gets noted.
Yes, thank you.
What's our title of ours?
Oh, yeah. It is called The Rabbit and the Hawk, and it is the 4th episode. And the log line is Olympia asks Maddie to get closer with the current client, a man fighting for justice after the wrongful death of his wife.
Okay.
And this aired October 31st. So not that long ago. This show, I mean, for them to get picked up, like when they just...
It's a mega hit is what
pilot
it comes down to.
Premiered in September, the end of September. Like, yeah, that's a big deal.
So, good job, them. We're looking forward to it. Jessica, what kind of law would you practice if you were a lawyer?
Oh, this is so easy. I was thinking about it today, actually.
Really?
Yeah. I would love to be a will and trust lawyer.
Really?
Yeah. My parents did that. They went through and did that whole thing. And I was...
So you would be like FISK.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And I went and sat with them and while they were signing all the papers, and I was like, oh yeah, this is a fairly straightforward, or it's probably like 85% straightforward, and then like the rest of it is like, what the hell?
What did I get into here?
Yeah. Or like FISK,
Yeah.
where people are making weird claims.
Yeah.
On inheritances, or you have to track down people who died, or where to help them give their money or whatever. I don't know. Yeah. So how about you, Jacob?
I would be the type of law where I was always right.
Oh,
that is my only interest in the law.
Yes.
And therefore, Your Honor, I am correct. Yes, you are, Jacob. You win. That is the only type
you are a lawyer, right?
You are a lawyer. Yes, you are lawyer correct.
Man. I hate being lawyer wrong all the time. I have to do all this work.
Yes, I am only interested in being lawyer right. That is the type of law I practice. The law of Jacob is right. All right. Well, we'll go watch the little bit of this episode, and then we're going to come back and hopefully have some lawyer right guesses.
Woohoo. See you soon. Okay, Jacob. So we just watched this.
We have to cop to it. We might have watched too much. I don't think it will affect our guessing. So
I think we have the setup. I think we watched just the right amount, because otherwise, how would we know what to guess on? We have a dead body, and we
haven't seen the dead body.
Well, we never see the dead body in this show.
Well, that's the thing. And I did want to talk about that. Like, this show is not this is not a see the crime, solve the crime kind of show. This is a courtroom. Yeah. It's not even a in Poker Face, you see it and then it's how catch 'em, but you still see the crime. There's still a body or anything like that. But this is a courtroom drama. So like for a lot of the crime has already happened and you're defending someone. So it's like, okay, this person, clearly we're on the side of the angels, because otherwise we wouldn't be making a show about this.
Yeah. I guess I should have said up front in the beginning that IMDb calls this only a crime drama. It does not call it a mystery, but I feel like it is very mysterious, which is why we are doing it.
Yeah, there are definitely cases each week, but it's like we clearly know that, like, I guess so they set up the case and it's this person versus, well, in other episodes, sometimes it's nebulous as to, like, this person was accused of a murder. Who did it? We don't know. So it's like, basically this is like, we're trying to guess how we're going to win this case or get this person off.
I think we're just dancing around this and trying to, like,
Postpone our guessing.
Postpone our guessing.
That might be because we got no idea.
Because this is so we've got the company that owns the buildings.
Here's what we haven't even said what the case is.
By this woman who is now dead who got Legionnaire's disease.
Yes, she died from Legionnaire.
She's dead now, and her husband now has the case. And the firm has tried or wants to not have the case of the woman/husband,
even though they've been working on it for 18 months,
because they now have the building company, the landlord on their as a client, and they're spending millions of dollars with them. Oh, interesting.
Yes.
Maybe they are signed as a client because they're trying to avoid whatever payout.
Oh yeah, like I think this is definitely like who. So
they knew what they were going for.
Yeah, they knew that this law firm, basically they're trying to indirectly bribe this law firm to drop the case.
Yeah.
Because they're like, if you take us on as a client for $10 million, we'll give you $10 million a year. For at least a year, they'll get $10 million if you just drop this case because you're a really good law firm. Someone else, and it will also delay the case because even if another law firm takes it up, like it will delay it even more. And maybe even get rid of it since the husband of the dead person is an artist and needs handholding and is anxious. He may decide to not even go through with this case anymore. So it's an indirect bribe. So basically, how is Maddie what is the evidence and how are they going to win this case against this evil landlord company so Legionnaire's disease, which we did some research on. I won't call this pre-cheating because we did it we did it pre-guesses, but So Legionnaire's disease is caused by a bacterial growth in water, usually found in cooling towers of large buildings. And it was named because it affected a Legionnaire's conference at a hotel, and that's how it was first discovered.
Yeah.
By the way, it made me have a real horror now of like misters in the summertime when it's really hot
because you can get it in misters too.
Yeah, you're just breathing
from
misters because you're
it's
breathing
aspiration breathing.
Yep, that is exactly it. You're breathing in water you're breathing in water that's infected with it. So yay, now I have a reason to be nervous every time I sit in a mister when it's 120 degrees out.
Yeah. Unpleasant. Or at a gardening show, which also grossed me out. Because that happened. But we should say for anybody who's hypochondriac out there, like ourselves right now, that most people will be affected by it, but they won't die because it's like slight
have flu-like systems.
Yes.
Symptoms.
Symptoms, and we have the ability. Our bodies mainly have the ability to handle it.
Yes. On the other hand, like originally 180 people were infected and 30 of them died. So that's not nothing.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
But in any event, we still need to figure out how is Maddie going to get this.
Again, we're distancing ourselves from this question. So somehow Maddie has to talk to something that she finds out while talking to the husband has to be helpful here.
Yes.
Not just keeping him on the case or in the case.
Right.
It has to.
She's really personable. That's part of her superhero or her superpower. So my theory is that she has to get somebody, not just the husband, talking to her. And we know that Legionnaire's disease comes from a non-clean cooling tower. So she has to find the smoking gun or the dirty mop that didn't clean this cooling tower well enough. So I think she's going to find a document where she's going to talk to a custodial person or facilities person, and they're going to have the documents that show that they knew that this wasn't being cleaned well enough, and either they were fired because they brought it up to somebody's attention, or they knew that this was going on and they had brought it up to somebody's attention. They said, no, this is none of your concern, don't do it. But I think she's going to make friends with a custodial person, and that's how she's going to do it. That's how they're going to get the landlord.
Well, okay, I'm going to go on the cynical side of things.
Ooh, okay, please.
And say that he is an artist, but he...
Oh, you're going for the husband?
Yeah.
Wow.
But I think he's gonna want to bolt because he just wants to move on, and
his wife's dead. You think he just wants to move on? Jessica, you are cynical.
Yeah, okay, sure. But then also, I think the other company is going to come around and be like, because it's just an arbitration. It's a mediation, isn't it? I think that they're going to offer him a boatload of money. And
he's just going to take the money.
And he's going to be like, I'm just going to take the money. But she's going to have to say, no, even though and it's going to be hard on her because she's going to be like, with her deep wound with her daughter,
right,
is like, but so all of her needs are taken care of. She is a wealthy woman.
Yes.
She doesn't want a payout. She wants justice.
Right.
And so, but she's going to identify with him wanting to just be like, or she's going to have to somehow fight with him to stay on it without revealing her reasons for why he should just
keep with. So she is going to want him to continue with the case because her desperate need for justice. And that's going to and he's like, why are you fighting so hard? I just want the money and to move on from my wife's passing.
Yeah. And she's going to have to thread the needle because it's emotionally important for her, but it's also important for her job.
Right.
To keep him on the case. That's what my take is. That's what I think is going to happen, is that the husband's going to be like, I'm just going to take the money from these people. And they're all going to be like, no, but you could get so much more. And this is important to save other people. And he's going to be like, but why?
I'm just going to take the money.
I'm just going to take the money. I feel like maybe, because he's an artist. It's expensive to live in New York. Is that where we are? New York?
Yes, we're in New York.
Yeah. So it's expensive to live there.
So this is kind of like a Chinatown thing where she's in Chinatown, which is rapidly turning into our Jacob's Ladder situation for this show. So in Chinatown, Jake really wants justice, but he has to just let it go. It's Chinatown. And this is her, she's going to really push for justice in this, but he's going to accept the settlement. And she's just going to have to live with that kind of complicity in a kind of corrupt system. Because she's like, I have to agree to this because I can't show that I'm really desperate for justice because she does want justice. So she's going to have to take a little hit emotionally herself here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And that maybe even we're going to find there's a theme of obsession and redacted documents.
Definitely a theme of obsession.
Maybe even she died, but maybe it was complicated by her own personal obsession, the wife's.
Right.
So complicated by her own personal obsession and inability to let it go.
Okay. So you think it's just going to take the settlement and kind of break her heart a little bit. And I'm saying that there's going to be a custodial person who has the smoking gun or the wet mop, as it were.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That really needs to be a phrase. Why don't detectives ever talk about finding the wet mop?
Well, and what if we find out that she and Olympia are on the same side? I mean, that's a twist. Here we are in the 4th episode of the season, that we find out that she and Olympia are on the same side, but maybe for different reasons. And Olympia's willing to...
They are both searching for justice.
Yeah, but Olympia's willing to let it go in this instance.
Oh, yeah.
But she won't.
But Maddie won't.
Maybe she'll grasp onto this and be like, no. You have to, and everyone's going to be like, "Lady, let it go."
Yeah, maybe what's going on here? Yeah,
yeah, maybe.
I think it's definitely some themes going on here. That definitely plays into the themes of the episode because part of the cold open was also Maddie and Alfie looking for their grandson, and he had fallen asleep in the office behind a couch because he's staying up all night obsessing over this case and now lying to students and teachers and everything else. And the grandfather is worried that he doesn't have a childhood and that they're falling into the same traps about being obsessed over the daughter who's dead as they were. So there's definitely themes of obsession and not letting go in this. So yeah,
and maybe that's too obvious that they would take all of those themes into this A story.
No, that's not obvious. That's absolutely what the themes of the A story echo in the other personal things as well. So no, that's not. I mean, I don't know. I don't think you have to put the onus of the word obvious on it, but that's absolutely that's just good structure. That's not obvious. That's just good writing.
Okay. Okay. We just look at obsession in many different ways.
Yes, exactly. Yes, it's like the themes of the episode is reflected in each of the storylines. Yeah, that's not obvious. That's good writing.
Okay.
Okay. Do we have
We'll see.
We'll see
if that's the case.
All right. Well, we're going to put on our detective hats and go try to find our wet mop, and we'll see you soon.
See you soon.
Do you think that there's something that the Music Man couldn't sell? Like, I mean, he clearly has like carved out a niche for himself doing this one music con. But now he's got to be a real, honest to God music teacher or some other kind of salesman. Is the idea that he can be some other kind of salesman? And do you think he can actually sell something, or is he just a really good con man? Or maybe he ends up mayor of the town because he's really good at convincing people to do things.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that mayor is going to give up his position
anytime soon.
Anytime soon.
But it's clear that like other salespeople don't like him. Now, do they not like him because he's a con man and they give him a bad name because your hair never grows back, as that one guy famously says? Or could he actually be a good salesperson?
I think he's. I thought you were. I got lost. What are we doing here?
We're not doing anything. Ultimately, I'm trying to find a connection to see if there's some way that I can like. I want to compare the Music Man to Jake from Chinatown to like Maddie in this series, and if there's any kind of like I don't know why there's a through line going on here.
If I was a producer and you were like, this show is Music Man meets Chinatown, I'd be like, I don't know what that means. I'm taking a sip of water. I'm leaning in a little bit. Or maybe leaning back.
It's one of those, probably more likely leaning back, yes. I don't think that this show is actually anything to do with Music Man, but I started thinking about Chinatown and just the manipulations and the con that goes into Chinatown. And then I was thinking about like happy cons, which made me think of the Music Man. Like the Music Man is one of like the happiest con stories ever told.
Oh, you're right. Okay, yeah.
But it's mainly because about Chinatown, because I was just like, is this episode of Matlock a Chinatown episode?
We kept calling it a Chinatown episode.
But that was before we watched it. And so, because we were saying that like this is going to be the one where she like loses her moral center, like she just realizes that everybody here is.
That's what he says to her.
He literally does in the middle of the episode. One of the act breaks. There's her husband. Her husband says, "You lost your moral center," because she's lying all the time. Oh my God, she is so lying and manipulative in this episode.
Oh my gosh.
And this is one of the things I dig about this
Mrs.
show.
B. She lies
oh my God,
so
she
hard
lies
to Mrs.
hard
B.
So Mrs. B is the very stern, very stone-faced keeper of the records.
Yeah,
and she's like
the
very by the books. Yeah.
Kind of the
the archives, yeah.
The archives of the
And
company.
she's like, you absolutely no way, no how are you going to get through to me. I am absolutely 100% on, like, you're standing in front of me, but I'm not going to approve your request until you send me an email. So she sends her an email from her phone, and then she says, yes, but not until this, whatever. My point is that she makes up a whole dog, which she then kills to get Mrs. B's, like, sympathies on her side.
Yeah.
She is working every angle.
I hope that Maddie is writing all this down. You know, as the show Bible, like her own personal show Bible is growing. Like she's like, I had a dog named Cookie. It is dead. My husband died under this is her words, whore dressed as a flapper. Yes. Which also comes up in this episode.
Well, no, that is where it comes up. It's a joke in the cold open, because the whole point of this episode is that she has to, like, again, make this artist happy and comfortable, because the artist's husband just died, and Olympia's like, you can do this because your husband just died. And he's like, what, did his spouse also die? Never mind. I'm repeating a joke, which you don't need to hear because there's been no time for you, gentle listener. But the point is that, oh my God, she's lying and she's working it. Like she chops up an onion to like get the tears in her eyes.
Yes.
She goes back on a promise. She promises her husband that she won't.
Kathy Bates is a terrible onion cutter.
Oh, she is. It's just
I was kind of scared for her fingers. I was like, who is giving her a knife?
Please, props have already cut that and just have her like bang the cutting board on this.
Yeah.
Like, yes, because she wasn't looking at them.
Maybe it was a dull knife.
That's what I'm saying. Like like a plastic knife or a dull knife or something like that, where it's just like don't like the onions were already cut. Don't let her anywhere near a sharp thing. Anyways, but yes, she goes back on a promise to her husband to not use the kid out of school anymore. But what's the first thing she does is immediately like call the kid out of class. So he like takes off from school. Like she is spiraling is what I'm saying. And so like at the end of this episode, like the husband, not in the end, in the middle of the episode, the husband's like, you've lost your moral center. And then she doesn't do anything to get that moral center back.
No, she doesn't.
By the way.
No.
Like she just doubles down. Like it's after that she like manipulates and sees. So she's like, great, I'm not going to do this, but I'm still going to manipulate this woman.
But sometimes she does it for Olympia. Like
Yes.
sometimes it's for her own reasons. And then sometimes she's doing it for other people or for the case and whatever. And you're like, wow, you're really good at this.
It's her superpower. Like I said earlier, it is her superpower,
right.
making people comfortable and like manipulating them. It's amazing. It's great. Like they're playing with it. And this is a tense show for this reason. Because like you said, like I hope she's creating her own Bible because I'm getting like there was
a show Bible being the thing that all the writers' room supposedly write down.
These are all the facts. Like the warp drive works like this. The Takaris in the north do this, and all those little like trivia things that it's easy to like.
Dragon eggs are born only or come about only once a year or at the full moon of a princess who, whatever.
I'm eating the popcorn. I was waiting for if either one of us knew that like Lord of the Dragons. Oh my Lord, Game of Thrones trivia. It would be in any event. All of this is also a long way of just saying that we completely lost.
Yeah, we really did. I like kind of both of us became close because there was a smoking close, but it was like roundabout because you were trying to get at like what's the smoking gun, and it turned out to be black mold. Yeah, you kept saying, "Oh, it's a wet mop," and I was like, "I'm not following you. I don't know what you're like getting at. Like, I don't really know. I don't think that this episode is actually going to come down to what's a smoking gun or whatever." But then it did. That's what the whole thing came down to. And at one point, I was feeling bad when I was saying this. I want to say this.
Mm-hmm.
I was feeling bad. I was feeling like I was victim blaming by putting it on the husband, and you did kind of give me a look over the microphone where you were like, "Oh, you're blaming it on the husband?" And I was like, "I'm just saying, I think that he, decides that he just will take the amount of money because maybe he does feel bad about something." And then it turns out that they do blame him.
They do blame him.
In the middle of the episode.
In the middle of the episode, they blame him and they use him and his art supplies as the rosins in the air that is the reason she had a respiratory failure.
You say rosin all the time.
Yeah, resin, rosin. Resin? Resin, yes.
But you do always say rosin. Is that like a Midwest thing?
No, rosin is a baseball thing. We have a bag of rosin, but it's resin. This is, this is just me getting my words confused. So I'm saying rosin, but it's really resin. So yes, all his artists' resins. And we'll come back to that in the merch section, but is what caused a respiratory failure. But it wasn't that. Turns out he's a bit of a hoarder. And when they explore his apartment, they find black mold in the apartment. And that was what it was a broken
pipe, and the property managers, the landlords, who own 72 buildings, they actually were told by the city. Well, the city
mandated that
was told they had to replace these types of pipes, and they didn't, or it seems like they probably didn't, and they definitely did not at this building.
Yes,
and so that is the cause of the black mold. And they should have changed it years ago because this was preventable. So she did die due to
neglect from the building. But they didn't find that out because of some handy custodial person. They found it out in the apartment. So it's like Fletch or Fetch. It's Fetch. It's Fetch in Mean Girls that like the one Mean Girl keeps trying to make happen. I'm going to keep trying to make wet mop happen. Like it's not a smoking gun anymore. It's our wet mop. What's the wet mop in this episode? I'm going to keep trying to make it happen.
Oh, okay. All right. I guess I have to get used to that. I'm going to have to get used to that. I'm not sure.
You're not a fan, not on board with the wet mop.
Yeah, no. I can smell it.
Yeah, no, I know. Gross. It's gross. It's disgusting. That means it's funny. It's like if I keep saying moist, eventually you're going to see, there you go.
Stop.
See? Perfect. It's funny.
I don't even think it's a bad word. I just it just makes the smell even more rank.
So no, we got it wrong. Good for them. Not good for us.
Yeah.
We got it wrong.
No.
But okay, so I want to say one more thing about Chinatown here in this, because back to the fact that Maddie is an incredible manipulator on all this. I like this show so much, and I especially like the writing that they do in the show. It's funny, it's tense, it lays a lot of pipe, but it pays everything off. I really like this show. So like as she's just had an argument with her husband, and and she's chopped up all these onions, and as you're wondering what she's doing with these onions, you know that she's going to try, and you know that this is some kind of manipulation because she's on a secret mission and she can't let her boss know about this. She goes in through the back way, and all of these things happen in the back way. You're like, oh no, oh no. She's taking the service elevator. You see the service elevator. You see the so the senior partner, the guy who founded the firm, Julian Senior, he's in the service elevator wearing
a new pair of golf pants,
which they set up as being like he wears golf pants when he wins.
Yeah, and when he eats a soul.
Yeah, when he snuffs out a soul, he gets to wear these golf pants, and
because he gets to go golfing and then wear a new pair of pants.
Yeah. In any event, but Kath and Maddie and Olympia think they've won because they found out this black mold at this, and they were just like, give us a good offer we win, make sure we get a good offer. And he's just like, sure, yes, I will. Give us till the morning and we'll give you a proper offer. Well, what he does, but you're not thinking about this. You see the little clue, like she goes on the elevator and you're like, oh shit, he's wearing his golf pants. What just happened? And then, but you're still tense about how she's going to manipulate Mrs. B. So she goes to Mrs. B, and as she's manipulating Mrs. B, Olympia comes in. So now she's got like all of these things. So there's all this like rattling stuff going on in all of this, so you kind of forget about all these things you just saw until Maddie puts it together later on when she realizes, oh, pardon my language, they got fucked. In the middle of the night, the senior went through and said, great, this is the offer, but we'll
give them $5 million, but we're going to separate the liabilities from the assets. Johnson & Johnson apparently did this in a bankruptcy. And so that they don't have to actually have to pay out the $5 million because the company that signs the agreement
is going to be bankrupt.
Will be bankrupt, and so it won't have anything to give.
So the guy gets nothing.
Yeah,
he gets nothing, and they got outmaneuvered by the senior. And and this is why I'm just like, yes, this is like the layers on this of both Chinatown, that she's lost her moral center, and she can recognize and as she realizes as she's manipulating Mrs. B and Olympia comes in, that's when she also realizes that they've just been manipulated by the senior partner on all this. And it all kind of crashes down in the same scene. It's so great, and I love it.
Yeah,
I love it so much.
Like everybody's doing something. And I like Mrs. B, I gotta say.
Oh, yeah. Anybody who names their dog Barry Manilow can't be bad.
Yeah. No, she is a great lady. She is like, her whole thing is just order.
Mm-hmm.
Order.
Yeah, she is a high, lawful good isn't even, but she's very much just like lawful neutral, I guess would be the best way to say it. Like she is like, nope, you are going to obey the rules in every single way. And I don't care good or bad what happens, but you are obeying these rules.
Yeah. And I loved that scene of those two mature ladies, Mrs. B and Maddie, squared off, right to each other. And Maddie says, you need an email? And then boop, and you hear the mail
whoosh,
send, the whoosh sound, and then there's tense silence. And then bing, yeah. I have received your request. I have an appointment at 20 minutes. I like that silence, that perfect waiting moment of
it's an old-time Western standoff. Yes. It's great.
That was a fantastic, great sound design, great acting, great modern use of a technology.
It's a false, and everybody knows it's a false obstacle. I'm not going to do this until it's one of those things where it's like, oh, fucking fine, here.
But of course, boom. She is that lady. It's perfectly in character.
It's totally in character. But they could have made great hay where fine, I'll have to go back up to my desk and do it. No, it's like right there to show her just hit the send button on a phone and do it. It's perfect.
Yeah, yeah. And that's another thing where you have two ladies in a standoff, mature women in a standoff using technology at each other. but they're using their phones.
You did that almost as bad as you mispronouncing some of these actors' names. That was pretty good.
I had to wet my whistle.
Yeah, there you go. Literally.
Yes. It wasn't good. I'm sorry. I'll try it again. No, I can't. Okay, Jacob.
Hit me.
How many Christies would you give this episode?
Oh, that's a very good question. You know what? I'm gonna give this one. I'm gonna start at 7, and I might talk myself up, but I'm gonna start at 7 on this one.
Oh my gosh!
Like the mystery on this, like we knew going into this, like it wasn't gonna be very much of a mystery.
Yeah.
Partly because that's the style of the show, and partly because like it was very clear. It was just like, can you catch the company that did this or not? It was super easy. We knew who, like, what was it going to be, and would we be able to find out how they did it? So like, we can't be like, it's not about who was it. So the mystery was never going to be super huge in this one. So I just think that the way they did it, the way they played with how we were going to get there, and then the way that they yanked the carpet out from underneath us after we got there. I think like they had enough of a twist to hold to the whole black mold thing, and then a really great big twist at the end with the Texas 2-step to like yank it all out from underneath us. At least a 7 for me on this one.
Oh wow! Oh my gosh! Okay. I see that. I appreciate what you're saying, and I love that you're giving it a 7. Because, like in terms of show writing and the experience, like this is something that's new and different and has a lot of bite to it.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like as I've like given Christie's out for other shows, I feel like this is more like a 3 or a 4.
And this is the thing, I can absolutely 100% see that. Because again, we knew going in,
and that doesn't mean it's bad,
right?
At all,
it wasn't. But yes, in terms of actual mystery on this, there was no mystery at all. It was like the mystery. The only mystery was how are they going to get them?
Yeah. It did turn out to be a how catch 'em.
Yeah.
Which at a certain point you were like, it's not that, and I was like,
wait, it's a courtroom drama. How catch 'em? Like I think we're splitting hairs at that. But I mean, on the other hand, this is the whole point of this podcast is to split hairs. So
yeah. So, I'm not saying it's bad.
No.
I'm just saying 3, maybe 4.
3, maybe. We'll give it 4. We'll give it 4 Christies.
You can give it whatever you want.
So what are you going to do, though, is what I'm saying? 3 or 4? You like 3 or 4?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I would put it down. I'd put it down as a... Yeah, I guess I'd say 4.
Great.
Sure.
There we go. Perfect.
That was a lot of dithering. Well, Jacob, I think that about wraps things up for us then today.
Yeah, I think that's about it. Neither of us won, which to the shock of no one. But we finally got to watch Matlock, and that's a pleasure for everyone, I think.
Yes.
Definitely watch this if you're not. Like I said, like it's not cozy. It's surprisingly tense.
Well, that about wraps things up. Thanks for listening. But before you go,
please follow and subscribe and give us a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts like this one.
Yeah, this one is titled A Fun New Way to Enjoy Mystery TV. The premise of this podcast is so unique. The podcasters watch a mystery TV show up to a certain point, then try to guess who, why, and how done it. Then they come back and analyze their guesses. It's all done with great humor and enjoyment. Not only is it fun to listen to, but I have gotten recommendations for shows to watch in a genre I love. Woo! That's great!
Thank you so
nice.
much.
Yeah, and great way of summing up what we do.
Yes.
Which is super helpful.
Yes. By the way, the AI on our podcast app always is just like, this is a great clip. It tells people exactly what you're about. We're like, yes, we know that's the intro. Thank you very much. That's what we decided to do. Don't give us that as a clip. It's just the so maybe they'll choose this one is what I'm saying. Maybe now they'll choose this section to be like, this will be a great way for you to describe what it is to your pod. Yes. Great. Thank you.
That was a review. Thank
you. But no, we do appreciate it. But if a review feels like too much paperwork for you, then just tell a friend about us. That's the best way, honestly. And we appreciate that too.
Yes. And as we said up front, we got a Patreon.
Woo-hoo!
So please do support us. Become a member. You can join at $5 or $10 a month and become a Cluedunnit detective or a Cluedunnit inspector. We got our first one today.
Yay!
So excited.
Thanks,
you
Mike.
so much, Mike.
And then remember, that's patreon.com/Cluedunnit Podcast. Jessica, what is that again?
Patreon.com/Cluedunnit Podcast.
That's the one. You'll get raw footage, exclusive episodes, access to seasonal live shows, which Jessica will tell you more about that soon, and extra votes. So yeah, go ahead, patreon.com/Cluedunnit Podcast.
Yeah, and if you want to stay in touch, you can email us at cluedunnitpodcast@gmail.com.
Or slide into our DMs on Instagram and Facebook at Cluedunnit Podcast.
We'll see you next time.
This closing script is officially approved by the Totally Fake Podcasting Adjudication Board.
This cup had sat there all summer, and it was full of like a quarter, well, not full. So it was like a quarter cup of coffee down at the bottom, and it hadn't dried. It was moldy. It was, I still, like, obviously I still remember this. It was so gross, and it did smell. And I think some other things had gone into it because it had been deposited there like on graduation day. And I remembered, I was like, oh, it's this person because she drinks coffee. And I saw her 3 months ago at graduation walk into the room drinking a cup of coffee. She put it there. That's hers. And everyone was like, why do you even remember that? I was like, I don't know why I even remember that.
Because even then you were preparing to guess on mysteries. You were like, this is what it's going to be.